Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of John Ammel's Archives. How rare it is that I bring you two videos in one day. I generally don't do this, but I didn't want to leave everybody with my last video being the last impression in their head, so I figured I would do what I do best one more time right quick, and that is talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and their offseason. So, how do we sum up the Philadelphia Eagles offseason thus far? Initially, I will say it looked pretty bad. I will say that when, right out the gates, I was a little bit nervous. I was pissed off. I was kind of questioning the Philadelphia Eagle franchise intentions. But as free agency has gone on and progressed, and we still have, a lot more time, I still think the Eagles are going to work in a big trade. I'll get into that later. I think the Eagles have had a pretty stellar offseason, and I am here to tell you why. Because John Ammo is feeling very, very unemployed today. So, that being said, let's look at the Philadelphia Eagles offseason. All right, the number one move that everybody wants to talk about is Brian Dawkins. Why don't we have Brian Dawkins anymore? What happened? What was the big hiccup in the terms in the contract? What happened? I'm not that broken up by the Brian Dawkins situation, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, for all those who personally know me, John Ammo loves B-Dawk. I have a B-Dawk jersey. I'm a big B-Dawk fan. I was hoping he'd be a Philadelphia Eagle for life, right? At the same time, the dude is 35 years old, and he's going to be 36 next season. So my question is to Brian Dawkins, initially. If you really want to retire a Philadelphia Eagle, and the Philadelphia Eagles, by nature and tradition, are a pretty frugal and, cheap franchise, let's be honest. Why are you going to go ahead and sign a 5-year deal with Denver worth $17 million, knowing damn well that in reality the most you're going to play out is 3 of those years because you're 36 years old? You're not playing till you're 41 years safety, right? So, if by all fair measures, the contract that you signed is in reality a 2 or 3 year deal, why not just sign the 2 or 3 year deal? And that's what I don't get about all these players. It's like Brian Westbrook signs a 5-year deal for $50 million. Then he has a good season, and all of a sudden he thinks he can hold out the next year for more money. It's like B-Dawk. If you wanted to be a Philadelphia Eagle, should they have paid you $1 million more? Sure. Should you have accepted $1 million less? Definitely. Should you have played a 5-year contract knowing you're not going to play those 5 years? Absolutely not. I don't fault the Eagles for not signing him. And that being said, we actually got a very stellar replacement backing up Dawkins. We signed him Sean Jones from the Cleveland Browns. I just wanted to run these numbers by you real quick. Guy's got 14 interceptions his last 3 seasons, man. For a safety, that's pretty good. That's a lot more than Dawkins. He was a little injured last year, so I think he only played in 10 games or so. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but he only had 56 tackles last year. Prior to the 2 years before that, the guys had 96 and 111 tackles, forced fumble, and like I said, 14 career picks in 3 seasons. So I'm liking the replacement. The kid's only born in 82, so you do the math. 24, something like that, 82. And it's like, now my biggest problem with the Philadelphia Eagles this offseason, I will say, was the mishandling, I'll say, of the Lito Shepherd situation. Now, here's the thing, and I wanted to start off by saying that if I was a head coach and I signed these players to a contract, I don't care how you perform, and I don't care how you're unhappy. You sign a 5-year deal, you play out the 5-year deal. All of a sudden, tell me what good trading Lito Shepherd for a 5th-round pick is going to do anybody. What are we going to do with a 5th-round pick? The guy draft a backup linebacker, for God's sakes? Seriously. Why the Eagles even get themselves into situations? Cornerbacks are hard to come by. The kid's a 27-year-old, 2-time Pro Bowler stud, 1st-round former draft pick. Why are you going to trade a 5th-round draft pick for him? Either A, keep him on the goddamn team until his contract expires. I don't care how unhappy he is. If he's my player, he'll sit on the bench for 3 years unhappy. I don't care. Or B, why don't you work him into a trade bait with Anquan Boldin, who everybody knows wants to be traded out of there anyway? If you're the Arizona Cardinals, you tell me what's a fair proposal for Anquan Boldin. Probably what, a first or maybe a second round pick, seeing as though Vrabel and Matt Castle went for a second round pick, maybe a first round pick at best. So if we give the Arizona Cardinals Lito Shepherd and a second or third round pick, tell me how that's not a better trade than trading him for a fifth round pick. It's things like this why I really don't understand what the fuck the Philadelphia Eagles are thinking. It's like, why would you give up a number one draft pick, two-time Pro Bowler, 27-year-old bona fide stud that could be a shutdown cornerback on any other team except for ours because we signed Asante Samuel? Why would you give him away for a fifth round pick? It doesn't make any sense, and they constantly do this year in, year out. So, Correll Buckhalter, that's going to be a little bit of a loss. I just wanted to say good luck to Correll in Denver. Thank you for giving us, however many years you gave us. I think since 2002 or something like that. 5 solid seasons, 6 solid seasons, whatever it was. Dude is definitely a game changer. A bona fide, backup stud for Brian Westbrook. And, while that initially I wasn't really that happy about that move, the Eagles went out and in fact signed Leonard Weaver the other day. So this is a big-time fullback Pro Bowler from the Seattle Seahawks. He was actually being sought after by 5 other teams, and him and the Philadelphia Eagles finally got the deal done that took to make it work. So we actually now, for the first time in a long time, have a bona fide fullback at the position. Where we don't have to have just a big, halfback or something like that. So, now William Thomas and John Runyon, they're both going to be, big losses. But the Eagles stepped up and signed Stacey Adams, who, is another bona fide Pro Bowler, to take over Trey Thomas's position. I believe we still have to address the right tackle position in John Runyon. Maybe we could still sign him. I think he's still a free agent the last time I checked. If not, I'm sure we'll be fine. Our offensive line only let up maybe a dozen sacks last year, so we had a really, really, really stellar year up there. Now, the big question ultimately, what's it going to come down to is that number one wide receiver. Are we good enough to go to the playoffs again? Yeah, but we're no better than we were last year. Let's be honest with one another. So Andy Reid and Joe Banner and Jerry Lurie got to get their shit together. Let's go out there and let's get Anquan Boldin, man. Why waste our time getting Torrey Holt or Marvin Harrison, when we're just going to have to make another move for another wide receiver in a year or two because they're getting old. Don't get me wrong. I'll take either of them for their big game experience in Torrey Holt and Marvin Harrison, but let's just get the deal done. Let's get Anquan Boldin out there, man. Everybody knows that, the Philadelphia Eagles have a very, rich and sought-after franchise to play for. Everybody wants to play for you guys. Everybody wants to play for Donovan, man. And, speaking of Donovan, it's about time that we give this guy his weapon, or I won't blame him if he leaves us next year. I've been a big Donovan McNabb supporter since 1999, since he's come on the team. And, I'm saying here and now, get this guy his weapon. Get this guy his number one wide receiver, because when he leaves you next year and he wins the Super Bowl somewhere else, don't say I didn't told you so. So this is John Ammo. This is the Archives coming to you live. That's my take on the 2009 off-season free agency so far. And check me back in a week or so. I'll be back with another Eagle video, as you know I do.